So in this session, will tell you what are the topics you can prepare for the data engineer. Let's suppose in the data engineer, we have three rounds of interview. One round can be coding round, one round can be big data concept round, and one round can be hiring manager round. But what are the important topics you can follow up to become a data engineer, and how you became a data engineer by following my practice strategy. So in this session, I'm going to tell this same things in front of you all. Now I'm going to start with my as my I gave my introduction. Now about my I am working as a senior data engineer in Walmart. Recently I worked in Morgan Stanley and Misho, and I am the gold medalist of Uttarakhand Technical University. Apart from that, I am working as a data engineer mentor on the Preplace and TopMate website as on weekend times to so that our mentee can become a data engineer by following proper roadmap path. So in this first slide, I'm going to tell that how I crack a data engineer interview for top based companies. So basically, to crack the data engineer interviews in the top product-based companies, we have to follow the proper strategy plan, right? So in the proper strategy plan, as you can see on my screen, that I have multiple plans here. So basically, first we have to study data structure and algorithm. Then we have to focus on master time complexity and analysis. Then we have to focus on SQL and Python. SQL and Python, you can say, is like a very important for the data engineer who are becoming a data engineer in the top database company and even in the Mang companies. We have to solve coding problems. We have to revise the big data concept. In the big data concept, we have to focus on mainly Spark, Hadoop, Kafka, Yarn, and Hive concept. Then we have to focus on data processing and ETL pipeline, which is very important for the second round of interview. Then we will focus on the system design. System design is basically only required for the experienced data engineer, not for fresher. They will not ask you system design as my per knowledge because I give 50 plus interviews in top based companies. But yeah, system design is required for the experienced people. Now we have as of now in the market there are a lot of technologies are coming in the market. So which technologies we have to focus on and what are the important topics we have to prepare? I am going to tell in the upcoming slide. So in the upcoming slide, I will tell you in detail how you can crack each round of interview. So first part is how to clear first round of a data engineer interview, which is coding interview. So in the first round of interview, I see that I make a lot of plans here, and I see that every company's had three rounds of interview for a fresher or for the experienced people. It can be three or four or sometimes five rounds can be happen. But on the overall structure, I see that some companies has first round of data engineer interview, which consists of the completely coding round. In the coding round, you can expect three topics. One is SQL, one is for Python, and one is data structure. SQL and Python, you can say this is 100% they will ask you in the data engineer role, data engineer, because data engineer, SQL and Python are the core skills we have to prepare on. But sometimes I see that many people will ask me, Nishay, how many topics we have to prepare, what are the important topics we have to focus on, and what topics we can focus on in the upcoming interviews, right? So I'm going to tell that these are the some of the important topics here in this slide that you can focus on SQL and Python. So in the SQL, you can focus on Geeks for Geeks. Geeks for Geeks is like a website where you can follow the SQL concepts like window functions is very important, group by is important, then CTE. CTE is a common table expression is very important. And some companies will ask definitely question on complex join and subquery. In the joins, you can focus on self join, inner join, and left join. These are the three topics you can focus on in join topics. And in the CTE, CTE is important because sometimes I see that when when you give interview in the companies, when you give interviews in the companies, you will see that some question coming from the window functions. So window function and joint is very important. Now coming to the how you can practice the SQL question. Okay, so I will tell you that I will attach it that in the in the YouTube description of this video. I will attach the some top 100 question you can focus on the SQL part and you can practice. But I will advise you focus on basic concept first. You can either focus from W3 School or either focus from the Geeks for Geeks website. In the Python, coming to the Python, in the Python, there are lot of topics are there. So you cannot prepare all the topics in one go. So in the Python, you can focus on data structure like list, tuple, set, and dictionary. These are four topics which are enough for the Python. Apart from that, some companies can ask question on JSON parsing in Python, decorators, and return function. So what is JSON parsing? JSON parsing is basically they will ask you, let's suppose you have a JSON payload, and if you want to read the JSON payload in the Python as a string or as a dictionary, how you can read. So you can focus on the JSON parsing. So for the JSON parsing, there are two functions are available in the Python, JSON.loads and JSON.dumps function. Now you can focus on some other concepts like multiprocessing and generator, because some company can ask the question on how the multiprocessing in Python works. Can you write a simple code to enable the concurrency in the Python? Let's suppose you have running two threads in the Python. How you can achieve the concurrency in the threads? So they can ask this type of question. Apart from that, some question you can expect on the dictionary question, file handling, easy to medium question. But from where you can practice the Python. So in the Python, you can practice from the Geeks for Geeks again, and there is one more website, Interview Bit. In the Interview Bit, some questions are important which are attached in the Interview Bit website. But I will attach all the links which are from where you can practice SQL and Python. So this is the only things you have to focus on, SQL and Python to crack the first round of interview. And you have to showcase your SQL and Python by solving question so that they can understand that you have good practical knowledge and problem solving knowledge. So this is about the SQL, and in the SQL and Python, you have to focus on this topic. And now coming to the another topic, which is how to crack the data structure on. Because some people ask me like, there are a lot of questions we have to focus on the data structure, right? They cannot prepare data structure in simple view and simple way, right? So I will tell you in this session what only topics you can focus on data structure, because in the data structure there are lots of topics. You cannot complete all the topics in one go. But for the data engineer, there are some list of topics you can focus on in the data engineer. So I'm going to tell this in this slide. So data structure is first focus on what are data structure, different types of data structure. So we have linear data structure like array, stack, queue, and English, and we have non-linear data structure like a tree, graph, etc. Right? So focus on theoretical concepts first. What are the different data structure present in the market? Then understand the different type of time complexity. We have big O omega notation, we have asymptotic notation. Focus on the time complexity and space complexity concept, because they can ask, let's suppose you written one algorithm in the interview. They can ask that what is the time complexity for that, and how you can optimize the this code so that you can achieve the lower time complexity, which is big O1 or big O n, which is less than big O n square. So first focus on the basic concept of time complexity and space complexity. In the data structure for the data engineer, you can focus on four topics in the linear data structure: array, stack, queue, and linked list. These four topics you can prepare, and these are more than enough for the data engineer. But sometimes, like big companies can ask question on tree and binary search tree. So I will advise you for the nonlinear data structure, you can focus on some topics from the tree and some topics from the BST. So in the tree, I will advise you tree. There are a lot of topics are there in the tree. So first topic there, binary search tree, like in order traversal, pre-order traversal, in order traversal, pre-order traversal, post-order traversal. These are the three topics you can focus on. Sometimes they can ask you like, let's convert the skew tree into the BST tree. They will ask you convert the BST tree to the binary tree. They can ask you how you can make the AVL tree, red black tree. So basically they will ask you how you can insert the element in the tree, how you can delete the element from the node from the tree, and how you can make the tree from the linear data, like suppose you have tree, and they will ask you like how you can make the tree using the inserting the element. So this type of question you can focus on. And for the practice part, I will advise you practice from the lead code. And if the person is a beginner, let's suppose if in my audience some people are beginners, then I will advise you focus on the hackering to solve the practice question. Because hackering, you will understand how you can approach the question, and in the future how you can approach the question and what types of question you can face in the interview. And from that you can gain the problem solving skills, because in the problem solving skills is very important in the data engineer. So this is about the data structure. Uh, in the data structure, these are the topics focus on array, stack, queue, linked list, and basic and binary search tree. These are more than enough topics you can focus on. Now coming to the next topic, this is a very important topic, so that you can make a good, clear understanding how to clear second round of interview. As we discussed about how to clear first round of interview, we have to focus on SQL, we have to focus on Python, and we have to focus on data structure. Now coming to the point, how to clear second round data engineer interview, which is second round consists of some topics from the big data concept. In the overall, it can be from Hadoop, it can be question from the Spark, it can be question from the data warehouse, some questions from the database, some questions from the ETL design and data pipeline, and some if for the advanced in the interview, they will focus some question coming from the you can expect the question in the upcoming interview, system design and the data modeling. So in the upcoming slides, I will tell you each and every topic, what topics is needed for the Hadoop, what topics is needed for the Spark. So you can focus on in this topic. Now coming to the Hadoop part, as you can see in my screen that in the Hadoop you have to focus. So you first know the Hadoop architecture. So basically, if you see that in the Hadoop architecture, we should have the one master node. We have the multiple slave node. Slave node also known as the data node, and in the master node, which is known as the name node machine. They can ask the question like how the Hadoop architecture works. Okay, first question they can make to the question. Second question they can ask how the yarn architecture works. So in the yarn we have two types of component. One is the resource manager and one is the node manager. So how the node resource manager distributed the memory and CPU to among the all the data nodes. And they can ask the question how the mapper reducer work. This is very important question in the input important for basically they can ask like suppose you have a mapper job and we have a reducer job, how you can process the data which is stored on the HDFS. HDF is a if someone does not know, HDF is a like a Hadoop distributed file system where actual data gets stored. And MapReduce is like a processing framework which is used to process the data which is stored on the Hadoop ecosystem. And in the Hadoop ecosystem, we have master node, which is known as name node machine. We have the slave node, which is known as data node machine. And they can ask the question like how you can achieve the high availability in the HDFS. Let's suppose if any master node machine goes down, how you can achieve the backup for this machine. So you can see that we have set up a standby machine and secondary machine. This type of question you can expect. Some question they can ask like if you want to control how many mappers can be used in the HDFS. Let's suppose you are running a MapReduce job which is generating 10 mappers, but you want to reduce the mappers from 10 to 1. How you can configure? So there is one property in the HDFS in the Hadoop system by which you can control the mappers and reducer also. So this type of question you can expect in the interview, and I will advise you focus on the Hadoop architecture mainly because from the Hadoop architecture, lot of question can be arise in the interview. And for the fresher beginners, I will advise you focus on the Hadoop architecture. This is very important topic in the interview. And in the Hadoop topic, you can focus on these five topics which is mentioned in this screen. Hadoop concept, yarn architecture, how MapReducer work, how you can control the mapper and reducer, and they can ask one question more: what is the block size in the Hadoop? Because you know that some block size is 128 MB. In the one Hadoop, we have size of 256 MB. So if they can ask the question, if you distribute the data into the multiple HDFS data node, how the data will store? So you can mention that data will store in the data blocks. Data blocks is like a some portion of the data you can see. This type of question you can expect in the Hadoop. No practical question will arise in the Hadoop. Only theoretical question and conceptual question you can focus for the Hadoop in this part. So this is all about the Hadoop, Hadoop MapReduce, Yarn, HDFS, and all this topic. Now we are going to cover the second very hot topic of this complete video is Spark, because Spark is like a heart of the big data engineer. Every company interview, you will expect one question at least from the Spark. They will never skip the Spark topic in the interview because Spark is a very important tool which every companies are using in the market as of now for making a runnable jobs. Okay. So, but some question arises is that Spark is a vast. Spark is like a sea. But what topics we have to cover in the Spark and what are the topics we can focus on the in the Spark. So I'm going to tell in the Spark, basically in the Spark, we have to focus on the Spark architecture. So let me tell you in the brief. Suppose you have submitted one Spark application to the Spark architecture. They will ask you what will happen when you submit a Spark application. So you can mention that when you we submit application to the Spark architecture at the high level, I'm telling you, the job gets submitted to the driver machine which distribute the job into the multiple stages. Stages will divide it into the multiple tasks, and task will get it actually running on the executor machine. So you can say executor as a worker machine, it will run the task. Okay. And in the task, we have some CPU and memory configured, which each worker machine. So they in the diagram, you can see that this is the architecture for the Spark machine. So this type of architecture, they can definitely 100% this question will be asked in the interview, because this is very important topic. Because if any beginner, if any experienced people give an interview, first they need to understand the basic concept of the Spark. But sometimes people, I see that sometimes people have the hard advanced level question knowledge in the Spark, but they did not able to tell the Spark architecture. So Spark architecture, focus on Spark architecture. This is very important topic. Second topic is difference between data frame, RDD, and dataset. This is the second important topic. I am telling you some important topic, but there are a lot of topics important. I will attach in the description. But as of now, I'm telling you on the 5 to 6, which are 100% can be asked in the interview. Third topic is what is the difference between cache and persistent to caching the data in the Hadoop executor machine. Then there is a very important topic, Policy versus repartition. So these are two functions which are used to increase or decrease the number of partitions in the Hadoop. Because you know in the Spark, because in the Spark, actual data will be stored as a partition in the executor machine. Like Hadoop, in the Hadoop, we store the data as a block size. Similarly, in the Spark, we there is an important topic, policy versus repartition. And there is last very important topic that, let's suppose if you want to deploy any Spark application, how you can deploy. So there are three methods available in the Hadoop ecosystem, Spark ecosystem. One is the you can deploy the Spark on the Hadoop machine, which is the yarn mode, yarn resource manager. Second, you can directly deploy the Hadoop Spark on the standalone mode. So what is standalone mode? Standalone mode, you can say is like a mode where you deploy the application like a Databricks. Databricks is like a very modern technology coming in the market. So Databricks uses standalone cluster because it deploy the cluster with the configured resources without using any yarn machine. And we have third is Mesos deployment. So they can ask different types of deployment in the Spark. So you can mention yarn deployment, standalone deployment, and Mesos deployment. In the yarn deployment, we have two types of deployment mode. One is the client mode deployment and one is the cluster mode deployment. So they will can ask the question on this topic, difference between client mode and cluster mode, Kolesky versus repartition, cache versus persistent, RDD versus data frame and versus data frame, how the Spark architecture work, different types of Spark application. So in the Spark we have batch processing, we have the real-time processing. So we have in for the real-time processing we have the Spark streaming. So they can ask this type of basic question on the Spark for the fresher. But for the experienced person, there is very important topic. How what is the performance technique you can apply on the Spark? Let's suppose we have to use broadcast join, we have to use accumulator, we have to use a different type of shuffle join which is running in the backend. And we can say that to optimize, there are a lot of configured properties are coming in the market like adaptive query execution. This is very I'm typing in the chat, adaptive query execution. This is very important topic in the Spark. They can ask, then Spark optimization technique they can ask. Then they can ask one topic, Spark deep dive. If you want to let's suppose if any job get stuck in the Spark, so how you can tackle this? How you will find that what is the reason why this job gets stuck? So they can ask the how you will find the job in the Spark UI. So you have good knowledge how you can focus on the Spark UI, how you can check the job in the Spark UI. This type of question you can expect 100% in the interview. Now coming to the next part, how to clear second round of data engineer, which consists of data pipeline ETL, which is known as ETL, extract, transform, and load. And this second topic, data warehouse. These top two important topics, which will be 100% asked also in the interview. But what topics we have to prepare in this slide, I'm going to tell here. So for the data warehouse, I will tell you data warehouse, you can say is like a kind of repository where we can store semi-structured data and on only the structured data. It's like a layer where we can store large amount of data. It's basically used for archiving, storing the archiving data, but some companies are using and many companies are using data warehouse for storing large amount of OLAP data. So these are some topics, hot topics you can prepare and you can note down for the interview. So first topic is what are the data warehouse concept. So in the data warehouse concept, they will 100% ask you difference between Snowflake schema and star schema. Second topic is how the data warehouse architecture look like. So if you see in the first diagram, so we have different source of data available in the ecosystem. One is the RDBMS, which is the relation database management system. Then we have CRM tool. We have the ERP tool where the data is coming. Then we are running the ETL job. So ETL is like a you can say is a pipeline, data pipeline, actually, which is used to extract the data from the different sources. Transform the data means like applying some kind of cleaning operation, like removing the nulls. They can ask how you transform the data, adding columns, renaming the column, and cleansing the data. And after the data get cleansing, then you will deploy the data into the data warehouse. So in the data warehouse, from the data warehouse, our data analyst, business analyst, and product analyst, which are the downstream for the data engineer role. Because the data engineer, you can say, is like a upstream role for the data engineer, clients and consumer, you can say data analyst and business analyst and product analyst who consume our final data. Okay, they can use Tableau, they can use Power BI, and they can use some kind of reporting tools to generate kind of reports on top of the data we got in the data warehouse. So first question is very important. Second is Snowflake schema versus star schema. Then they can ask the question on what are the different SCD type in the market. SCD type is, you can say, slowly changing dimension, how the data will store in the data warehouse table. So this is very important topic, SCD in data warehouse. Then there is a very important topic, what is the dimension table and what are the different types of flat tables in the Snowflake schema. So in the data warehouse, there are different types of tables in the data warehouse. One is flat tables and one is the dimension table. So this question 100% can be asked in the interview. So these are the four topics and five topics you can focus on, and say primarily for clearing the data warehouse on. And for learning the data warehouse, there are a lot of online websites are there. So I would recommend to use the Java 3 website because it consists of good concept in the Snowflake schema, star schema, data warehouse architecture, SCD type in data warehouse, flat table, and dimension tables, and understand the concept of basic concept of ETL pipeline, how the source look like, and what is the destination of the data, and how the data will flow from the source and destination using the ETL. So in the ETL, there are a lot of tools coming in the market. One is the Glue, which is a part of the AWS service. One is Snowflake also support ETL. Databricks also support ETL. So you can expect a lot of questions from the ETL side as well. So this is all about the ETL part. This I will advise you focus on ETL as much you can, because in the ETL part this is very important for the data engineer, ETL concept and data warehouse concept. And in the data warehouse concept, Snowflake schema, star schema is very important topic for the clearing the second round of a data engineer in the data warehouse concept, in the data pipeline concept. Now, coming to the third point, which is the third slide, which is very, very important for the person who are becoming a data engineer and want to crack data engineer round for the system design. Okay, because system design is very important for the people who are experienced people, right? So you can expect some question from the system design as well. Okay, system design. What are the topics we have to focus on the in the system design? So I'm going to tell you can focus on some topics from the system design. Some topics they can ask question from the data modeling. For the fresher, they will definitely ask the question on the system design. Okay, but for the experienced people, focus on the data engineer. We have to focus on two topics: data modeling and system design. Okay, so in this part, I'm going to tell that what are the topics you have to focus for the system design and what are the topics you have to focus on the data engineer data modeling. So for the data modeling, I'm telling you first understand the concept of data modeling. Data modeling, understand the concept means, so basically, if I'm telling you, if you are giving an interview for the fresher data engineer role, they can ask questions. Some of the data engineer, like let's suppose you have a data, large amount of data is stored in the database data warehouse. So they can ask question like that. Suppose you have lot of data is present in the data warehouse. So how you can store the data in the different tables format. Let's suppose you have a all the data which is a redundant data. It can be some duplicate data is stored in the one place. So they can ask you to create a data model so that normalization can be achieved. So I am going to tell normalization is a very important topic for the data engineer, because in the normalization you can expect question on the like normalization, you can expect question on that, like let's suppose one NF form, second NF form, third NF form, and fourth NF form, and BC NF form. These are the five topics you will 100% you can expect in this interview, because using the normalization, using the database design techniques, you can design the database, and using the normalization, you can achieve the data, and you can remove the duplicate data which is stored in the one place. So in the further data modeling round, I will tell you understand the different types of data models. One is the physical model, one is the conceptual model, and one is the view model. So focus on three types of models which are present in the database modeling. And in the data modeling, you can expect this type of question. And for the practice data modeling, there is one good website I'm thinking here, Guru 99 website. You can focus from this website how you can become a focus on the data modeling round. So in the data modeling, these are the topics. One is the conceptual design, one is the conceptual design, one is the physical model. How you will create the physical model, how you will create the create and how you will update the data in the business model. Let's suppose you have a business requirement coming from the client side. They can ask this type of question, like basic example question is, let's suppose you have a requirement from the business side that you have a data coming from the client side. It can be from the RDBMS and some other databases. You have to make a table in such a way no data duplicate will happen, no duplicate redundancy will happen. Also, in each table we can achieve the constant, like not null constant we can achieve the primary column. Each and every table we should have one primary column to join this with another table. So how you will create a design? So they will ask you that to create a database model first, then they will ask you like create a use the normalization concept. It can be one NF form, two NF form, three NF form, to distribute the data into the multiple table formats so that data anomalies will not present in the data. So this type of question you can 100% expect in this interview, data modeling. Now coming to the next part is which is important, how to clear system design down, which is very important topic for the experienced data engineer. So I will tell you system design is like a vast topic itself. They will definitely ask in the interview, if you are going to interview for the top rate-based company, system design you can 100% expect. But system design is basically for the software engineer, but in the data engineer, sometimes we have to build a system ecosystem for the Hadoop. Let's suppose you have a requirement that you have to make a system for the downstream team. Let's suppose they can ask like that question. Let's suppose you have a downstream team, business analyst, product analyst, and data analyst, and you want to give one portal and one SQL engine where they can write SQL query and generate kind of report. But we can give the directly compiler, SQL compiler. But SQL compiler is not compatible for the large amount of data. So we need some types of tool where they can use some to distribute the data. So in the one market, we have two tools are available in the market. One is the Databricks, and one is the Databricks, and one is the Databricks, and one is the Snowflake, and one is very important topic is called Databricks. Okay, but apart from the Databricks, we have another tool in the market for making a system design. So for the system design, I will ask you to focus on five topics. One is the load balancing, how the load balancing work. I am typing on the chat here. One is the load balancing. Then focus on the caching, how the caching work. Then understand the proxy server, because when you some basic example, when you hit any request from the Google engine, Google server, Google server from the UI, then when you submit any application from the Google server and Google UI, this request first go to the DNS server. So you can understand the concept of the DNS, how the domain name system will work, how the IP address resolution works. Because when we submit any application, we have the domain name, but we don't have IP address, right? So they can ask the question like basically how the IP address work in the data engineer. Okay, how the IP address resolution works. So basically, they can ask question on caching. They can ask question on load balancing, how load balancer work. They can ask question on proxy server. They can ask question on the address resolution on this topic. As you can see in the diagram that we have lot of systems are available in the system design. So, and there is one important topic, REST API. REST API you should 100% know. In the REST API, you can understand different types of methods are available like get, post, put, fetch methods are available. Then you can understand the concept of get, post, put method. Apart from that, you can understand different API calls, because API call is very important for the system design. Because system design basically used to make a microservice application. Okay, because in the microservice application, I will tell you So basically, we have let's suppose requirement is that we have to set up the Presto cluster. But how to set up the Presto cluster, right? So they can ask that to set up the Presto cluster, we need some kind of first is Kubernetes. They can ask how you will deploy the open source Presto. So you can use that mention that we can use Kubernetes or Docker machine to set up the Presto cluster. So you should know the basic concept of the Presto and Kubernetes. Okay, if they can ask the question on this topic, then after that Kubernetes and Docker, they will ask you how you deploy the application. Then you can mention that you can use the Helm chart. Helm chart, let me tell you basic idea. Helm chart is like a YAML file which is used to configure the Kubernetes cluster. Let's suppose you want to configure cluster for the Presto. So YAML Helm chart is like a way you can configure the Kubernetes cluster. On top of that cluster get configured. Then they will ask you, let's suppose you want to deploy this application on the public private IP address. So you will mention that we have to need some services like load balancer in the AWS. So in the AWS load balancer, we can say that if you work on ELB, ELB is a load balancer service in the like you can say in the AWS service. They can ask question that when the application get deployed on the ELB server, then how you will make the request. So you will mention that we can use the REST API to send the request from the front end application to the backend. For that, you can mention that we can either use the Spring Boot or we can use the JPA. They will not ask this deep question on that. If you are experienced people, if you are a if you have a worked on the system design, then definitely they will ask. Otherwise, they will not. They will skip the system design. So I think some people are confusing that whether we have to prepare Spring Boot and JPA. Answer is no. If you have knowledge, you can mention in the resume. They can ask the question without mentioning in the resume. They will never go to the Spring Boot and JPA until and unless they have requirement in Spring Boot and JPA, because Spring Boot and JPA is a totally part of the system design. But system design only five topics for which are required for the data engineer, which is the DNS, domain name service, proxy server, REST API, load balancing, and one is very important topic, how the proxy server works and how the REST API will work from the front end application to the back end application. So this type of question you can definitely expect in this interview. Now, this is about the system design, which is for the experienced people, folks, and data modeling for the fresher as well as for the data engineer. So, if you see for the data modeling, we have three models are available: logical data modeling, physical data modeling, and create and update data. So, as I mentioned it, they can ask the question like you have a client requirement, you have business data, how you will convert the business data to make it normalized table. So, you have to use three concepts: physical data modeling, and you have to make it table structure. Table structure means that what are the columns should be present in each table, what are the data types you will give for each table. Let's suppose we have ID column, order table. So what should be the primary key? So you will say ID will be the primary key, order ID will be the not, it's like a composite key we can make, because order ID will be always different, okay, for each user. So this type of question they can ask. You can expect question on different types of keys in there in the database, like primary key, composite key, and we have super keys there. Then they can ask question on normalization, how you can make a third normal form from the second normal form. This type of question you can ask expect. So this type of basic question you can expect in the data modeling. So now coming to the data, some in the market, I see that some markets are using some hot topics in the market. So these are some hot topics in the market which are Databricks. I'm typing here Databricks, Snowflake, Airflow. So what is this topic? Because every company, if you are going for the, if you are working in every company, you will see that Airflow is a, like a job scheduler. Every companies are using to schedule their workflow run, schedule their ETL runs, schedule their ETL pipeline, data pipeline. But some companies are also using Databricks and Snowflake, because these are the top. Databricks is basically used, like to type here, for the Spark processing. Spark managed tool, you can say. And Snowflake, you can say, is like a data warehouse that we discussed, Snowflake schema. So similarly, we have Snowflake. If you have prior knowledge on the Snowflake and database, then you can highlight database and Snowflake in the resume. Because if you highlight database and Snowflake in the resume, definitely your resume chances to get shortlisted will be 100% more as compared to other clients, other you can say other candidates. Because database Snowflake every companies are using mostly in the market. But if you don't have knowledge on database and Snowflake, if you want to prepare on the database Snowflake, I will make a separate video from where you can prepare database and Snowflake in the deep dive. But as of now, I will tell you Database Snowflake, if you want, really, this is very important topic you can focus on for the upcoming interviews in the market, because in the upcoming interviews, if you see here that they will going to ask the question on Snowflake, they will definitely ask the question on database. So what question they can ask? How the Spark will work in the database? What are the different types of you have worked on in the database? They can ask that what are the different types of clusters are available in the database. So we have job cluster is the we have all purpose cluster in the database. We have SQL endpoint, which is known as Photon engine. Okay, they can ask the question on this photon engine. So basically, I'm not going deep dive on this topic. I will make separate video for if you want on the database, because database I see that on the internet, on other website they are not proper roadmap for the database. But I will tell you, if you are going for the interview, this can be asked or never be asked, depend on your resume ultimately. And if they are requiring data bricks and Snowflake, they can ask the question. But for your career growth, for the modern technology is coming in the market, a lot of to get updated with yourself, I will advise you start learning database and Snowflake as much you can, because these topics you will expect in the upcoming future in the interview, as well as this will help you to make a proper data engineer. Okay, because data engineer, Databricks, Snowflake, and Airflow also. These are the important topic you can focus on in extra time, not in main time. If you are going for the interview, then I will say that he focus on this topic as of now. Okay. So if you can see in the screen that we have Airflow, we have Snowflake, we have database. And database is like a data lake architecture. What is data lake architecture? Let me tell you in one line. Data lake database is like a platform where we can process any kind of data. Any kind of data means structured data we can process unstructured data, we can process semi-structured data. Also in the database, some tools are there, like we have job scheduler in the database also. We have the cluster, because if you see here, if you want to spin up any Spark cluster on the Hadoop machine, it will take 10 to 15 minutes, because you have to run the Spark Summit command, you have to set up the Spark cluster, all these things, right, on the Hadoop machine. But in the database, you can spin up the cluster within 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, you can spin up the Spark cluster. Also, you can practice the database within after 3 seconds, because in the 10 to 3 seconds, Spark cluster get ready. And their commercial edition version is also available in the database, commercial edition database. From there, you can sign up for the database for practice the database. So there are some services. Let me tell you, job scheduler. We have data in the job scheduler is there. We have, apart from that, we have all-purpose cluster. We have also database file system, which is the equivalent to HDFS file system. We have very important topic, Delta Lake. Delta Lake like is very like a new topic in the market. Delta Lake. So Delta Lake is like a file format you can expect. So some top you can focus on this. And one more important question for the Spark interview, and some questions from the data engineer, different types of file format. So we have Parquet file format, we have ORC file format, we have text file format, and we have other file format which is known as Delta file. Delta file format is also a file format. There is a Hoodie file format. So there are different types of file format they can ask. They can ask which file format will be best for storing the data in the Spark. So you will say that for the Spark, Parquet format is the best format to store the data. For the Hive, they can ask which file format will be the best. You can mention Hive for the Hive. Only data is ORC format. ORC file format is enough for the storing the data. So this type of question you can expect different types of file format, Spark architecture, Hadoop architecture, Databricks, all these things. This type of question you can ask in the interview. And in the last part, I'm going to tell about some. So this what till I tell you is like about the first round of interview and second round of interview. So in the first round of interview, I'll tell that first round of interview we need SQL Python data structure. Second round we will need a big data concept like Hadoop, Spark, ETL pipelines, data warehouse, database, and some other topics. Sometimes we have three on one more round, that is system design and data modeling proper round, and sometimes they combine these two rounds in the first round, second round. So this type of question you can ask. In the last, we have the hiring manager round. In the hiring manager round, you can expect some question. So hiring manager, basically, I'm telling you, hiring manager. Some people say that hiring manager is purely non-technical. So answer is no. Some types of hiring manager round is like a techno manager hiring manager. So I'm typing the name of the interview. Techno manager round. So techno manager round means that it's 50% technical question they will ask, 50% managerial question, behavioral question they can ask. But in the technical question, you cannot expect coding question, only some past experience project, what you have worked on in the previous project, what types of tools you use, how you if you worked on some AWS tool, Azure, AWS, GCS cloud, how you done the cloud optimization, what are the different cloud optimization technique you use in the previous project. They will mostly ask the question on your previous project. They can ask basic question on Spark, Spark architecture again. They can ask basic question on the Hadoop. They can ask some question on like time complexity, basically time complexity, complexity. Let's suppose you have a queue data structure. If you want to insert element at the end of the queue list, how you will insert element and what is the time complexity you get, if is there any other way to achieve that same operation in within the less time complexity. This type of question you can expect definitely 100% in this hiring manager round, because hiring manager round is basically technical plus manager round. In terms of manager round, I will tell you. So manager round is like basically they can ask some question like, let's suppose in the previous project you have worked on multiple Jira, you have worked on agile methodology, Scrum, you know the Scrum technology, right? So they can ask that question like that. Suppose you have four tasks in your plate in the one sprint. Sprint like a you can say portion where you worked on work. Okay, so they can ask, let's suppose you have lot of tasks in your plate, but suddenly one priority task is coming into to your Jira. Okay, so how you will handle multiple tasks and how you will get the feedback from your manager. Let's suppose you have some dependency from your other colleagues which are working in your team, but these colleagues are not available for you due to some reason. They have some other work, and whether they don't want to connect with you, any reason. So how you will tackle the situation? How you will present this issue with in front of the manager. So basically, they will ask you scenario-based question. So when you enter into the company, if you face the same scenario, what they are asking in the interview, how you will answer the question in this in the company ongoing work, daily to daily life. So daily to daily life, we have Scrum call there. We have to work on the coding part. We have to make a code. We have to review the code with the directors. Sorry, data architect. We have to review this code with the senior data architect, like this. So they will ask you like question scenario based, like if you are facing some issue in the team, how you will tackle the situation. If you are having some issue in the some other things, how you will tackle this situation. So basically they will focus on the basic concept only, that if you are facing any issue in the upcoming topics, any topics in the um, what you are going to get the task in the upcoming job, how you will tackle the situation. And very important topic they can ask like why you want to join the company. Okay, this is very important question. What is your aspiration to join this company? What are the different roles and technology you have worked on, and what technology you want to work on? Then you can ask some question in the hiring manager round. So can you tell me about something about your team culture, team technology, team tech stack? So this is like a one like a two-way communication, not only one-way communication. It's two-way communication. Manager will ask some question, manager gives some input for the team if you are good in the interview. Manager round is like a basically final round. It's like a mostly people get cleared, but sometimes I see that some people get rejected in the manager round due to this. They are not able to answer. They can answer the technical question, but they are not able to answer the behavioral question, like how you will tackle the situation if you have multiple tasks in your plate, how you will how you will connect with the other colleagues in your team if they are not available for you. So basically focus on the behavioral question. And let's suppose in Amazon, you know that we have bar result round. Similarly, some companies have bar result round. They will check whether you have technical knowledge only, yeah, whether you have technical knowledge plus behavioral knowledge also. Because for the if you are going to work in any company, behavioral knowledge is also important. So that's why third interview is basically focused on technical also. But sometimes some question you can expect from the managerial side, like a behavioral question and scenario based question. So this type of question you can definitely expect in this third round of interview. And if you make the interview all the three rounds clear, then you will have the offer in your hand for the data engineer. So this is all about the data engineer. What we have covered first round of interview, Spark, SQL, Python, data structure. Second round for the Hadoop, Spark, data warehouse, database, ETL pipeline, and some other technologies like database, Snowflake, Airflow. For the third round, we have covered the manager round, scenario-based question, and some techno manager question, this type of question. So these are the complete roadmap for the, and we have covered data modeling, how to crack data modeling. We have also covered the data, how to crack system design. So this is totally about the data engineer cracking strategies. You can follow up, and you can follow me on LinkedIn if you want to connect with me. And if you want to connect, you can connect with me anytime, okay, for any concern and question. Now I'm going to take any question. If you have any question in this complete journey of that how to crack data engineer and data modeling round, now you can post your question on the chat. I'm going to take this question. Is it also question also puzzle? Yes, Nitish, this puzzle type question you can expect in the consulting company like ZF, PwC, EY, like and like we can see they can ask us in a puzzle question like guesstimate question, that is not guesstimate question. But I did not face any this type of question in the product based company in fintech company. But it depends ultimately on the hiring manager. Okay, on the hiring manager round. If they can ask, if the depend also depend on the uh, panel to panel. Okay, but ultimately, I did not see any question on this guesstimate and puzzles question, Nitesh. Any more question? Okay, no question so far. So I think we are good. Please, so yeah, let me tell you one more thing. In the upcoming videos, I'm going to make a video on the database, complete end-to-end database strategy, and I will also make a some other deep. So I will make separate video for each company's interview experience, what I give like for the JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Misho, and Apple, other companies that I created each company, and I will make separate video for the Spark. And in the Spark video, we will discuss more detail in the Spark top 100 question and similarly for the SQL and similarly for the Python, so on. So please keep in touch on this YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. And also, you can connect with me on Preplace and TopMate also if you have more concerns and if you want to connect with me on the same. Yeah, so I think we are good to close. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.